Hello everybody, what is going on? It's about Help24 here. No introduction needed. ROZ Part 3. Why Monsters Inc. might just be the freakiest Pixar film ever by the one and only the Theorizer. We are tackling this second Pixar theory and just going through every single video on this list. This is the finale of his Monsters Inc. theory. And then we head up to the Incredibles theory about Syndrome. Yeah, I don't know what to expect with this Syndrome theory, but Theorizer did say that the Syndrome theory is possibly one of the best theories in this Pixar universe, and also that people's minds were collectively blown by the Baby Smitty theory. And again, I said this in my Discord server, you can get an announcement here. Once I finish every video in this playlist, we will watch the Baby Smitty theory live on my channel. So if you aren't already following, link in the description down below to my Twitch channel, because once I finish this, we're going live with the Baby Smitty theory. It's going to be fun, it's going to be awesome for everyone, and plus I'll get your guys' input on the theories, and we can just relay ideas back and forth between everything. But for now, ROZ Part 3. A bit of a recap, although he probably will recap it. He probably will recap it himself. The first part of the theory kind of drilled the idea that Randall was the reason that the power is all, like, short. There's, like, a power shortage in the Monsters Inc. world, and that's because of Randall. He sort of drilled the idea that Randall is the one that's kidnapping kids, and that he introduced a very, very oblivious and desperate water noose to the mix, so they too started kidnapping kids. But the second part kind of flipped that entirely on its head by saying that water noose has been kidnapping kids for years, way before Randall was introduced. And ROZ, the center of the CDA, was probably the first ever scarer in Monsters Incorporated, and saw what water noose was doing, then quit, made the CDA, the Child Detection Agency, keyword detection, to protect kids from water noose, because she wants to expose water noose for who he is. And it is a dirty, dirty child kidnapper and possibly child murderer. But are also Sully and Mike are suspects for whatever reason. You know, maybe ROZ is, you know, kind of, I don't know, but ROZ Part 3, let's see what he has to say this time. Does he flip the second part on its head? Does he add to the second part? What is happening? Let's get right into the video. Also, by the way, watch the first two parts of my reactions. All of these will be in a playlist of my own, similar to this one, where I will have every single reaction to the Pixar theory too, and also the Mort theory. When I get around to doing that, I need to watch All Hail King Julian, and I need to brush up on my knowledge of penguins and Madagascar and all that kind of stuff before we get into the Mort theory. So, let's go! 3, 2, 1, fucking go.
From youthful human children.
Yeah.
ROZ was one of the company's original scare workers, and she was also one of the only monsters who'd ever realized the horrific truth behind what was really going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So she left and constructed the CDA, a company that aims to help monsters by decontaminating humans when in
basically what I
the
recapped.
secret agenda, known only by the higher-ups, is to bust Monsters Inc. wide open and reveal the truths behind their treacherousness.
To expose what it really is for, kidnapping kids. Nothing says, what the fuck better than busting open your favorite kids movie wide open and exposing what the hell is actually going on behind the scenes. Love it!
This was my collective conclusion to my last two videos on Monsters Inc., which I'd heavily recommend you watch immediately. Part 1 is
I have.
and part 2 is one of the best videos I have ever created.
Oh?
Watch them before this one because today we bring a close to this trilogy of videos as we delve deeper into ROZ's history with Monsters Incorporated.
Oh, let's
what
go.
may have prompted her to create CDA and
the big ROZ
family has been doing for all of those villainous decades.
Let's go. ROZ, our voluptuous sea slug. What's she hiding? Let's find out.
Hello, I'm the Theorizer, and Mr. Waternoose was raised into his family of child-killing crustaceans who he aimed to please.
Yes.
Full well at this point. And ROZ dedicated her life after scaring to exposing the horrors of this incorporation. As I questioned in this video, what exactly would prompt a monster like Mr. Waternoose's grandpa to start up this business, or rather, what would prompt him to somehow create a door portal?
Yeah, what would prompt him to do that?
Over time, it seems, Monsters Incorporated managed to get the entire world map of the humans, and they also managed to snap incredibly suspicious pictures of many of the kids. As I said, they managed to harvest all of the details on the human children, but how...
I mean, the only obvious solution is that the Waternoose family has been doing this for quite a long time, and it wasn't just Waternoose that was doing it. Like, of course, Waternoose was kidnapping us for years, but how far back does this go? Because apparently they have every single thing about every single fucking kid, and all of these fucking world things. Like, it couldn't have been just Waternoose that did this, okay? It was his grandpa and then his grandpa's grandpa, you know? It was the line of Waternoose family that has been doing this. So, Waternoose family has been doing this for probably decades at this point, if I were to guess. Yeah, Waternoose family has been probably doing this for decades, and, because there's no way that one person could, you know, grab the knowledge of every single fucking kid in the world. Or maybe he could? I mean, we won't put it past Waternoose to do all of this himself, to do whatever it takes to get this company continuing going, because, let's be honest, whoever the first one is that started this company was kind of a little cuckoo in the head, you know? Probably, because why else would they start a company based around, you know, all of these door portals going to, like, these different kids' rooms and taking creepy pictures of them and also knowing everything about them from details? Something's not right here. Something is definitely not right here.
How did they get the info? Their names? As I pointed out last time, and many commenters agree with me, these pictures look as if they were taken in the monster world.
Yeah.
With the industrial flooring scene.
Yeah, it looks like the same flooring as Monsters Incorporated. So, I don't know, maybe... Okay, wait. That kind of puts a hole in what I said earlier about them doing this for... Maybe they did do this for years, but... how would they get the photos of them in the company? I guess I'll explain it.
A child, like the floor, in Monsters, Inc. And what is the child staring at? Basically, the photo was taken very hastily by a monster, but it's implied that they have photos like this for every child. None of the scare workers question it. What's going on here?
Yeah, it's weird that everyone looks at these photos and like, oh, you know, we have these photos here, oh, you know, probably nothing about it. Not once does someone look at a photo and go, wait a minute, this looks like the floor of this building. Who's taking these photos? And better yet, why are the kids in this building? Wouldn't it be better suited to take pictures of the kids in their own rooms? Why are they in the facility? And whoever's taking these photos, why? Like, someone's probably like, hey kid, go over here, click, and that was that, but I don't know.
Clearly the kids have been kidnapped and questioned on their
Of course.
This is incredibly frightening. It also, in fact, means that Waternoose has kidnapped adults in the past, explaining how he gained all of the information that he did on the human world. And Waternoose is efficient at kidnapping and keeping it under wraps. He's even taught Randall his methods. Boo isn't the first child. The Waternoose family has been doing this constantly every day for decades.
Oh, obviously. I mean, it's very obvious that Waternoose knows what he's doing, you know? So does Randall. I mean, it becomes quite apparent that, Randall actually knows what he's doing when it comes to kidnapping kids, but, my question is, we've been talking all about Waternoose and how he's been kidnapping kids, and questioning about how he got into it. How did Randall get into kidnapping kids? Because that is something that I really want to know. We know that it's been in the Waternoose line to kidnap kids, but Randall's the only outlier here. He's not part of the Waternoose line. Yet, somehow, he still has all this knowledge to kidnap kids? How? Unless Waternoose told him how to kidnap kids. But that... What? That wouldn't make sense, because Randall came up to Waternoose with the idea. Right? Unless what he said in part 2 was wrong, and it was a collective effort for them to say, you know what, let's do this thing to hopefully keep this company running. You know, I'll kidnap 1,000 kids before I let this company die. He has kidnapped 1,000 kids before he let the company die, because the company isn't dead. So obviously, they're doing something really weird.
Seriously, it's very freaky. The sheer level of information they have regarding the human world, and
it's crazy.
The individual children themselves, is horrifying.
It is insane.
I do in fact believe that they've gotten thousands of kids kidnapped, killed.
Of course.
Which makes sense because of just how
killed 1,000
humans
kids.
fear the monsters. I mean, what kind of crazy myths do you think the humans are sharing around after losing their children to monsters?
I hear that my kid vanished out of thin air. Could it be the monsters? No, I don't know if it... What are they... Yeah, what are they telling people? Why are kids, like... What are they telling people? Are they like, at night there's like a big furry beast that will come and kidnap you and take photos of you and get every detail about you before killing you. What? They kill the kids because they don't want them to go back to their parents or whatever and tell them that, look, there's this incorporation out here that's killing kids. Get rid of the evidence, I guess. Holy shit.
In the night, kind of freaky. But ROZ clearly is the key in this big lock.
Oh,
as she was
definitely
aimed to shut down the operation. It's my theory that she encountered some high-ranking monsters in the middle of some of their horrific testing, and she quit to put an end to it. Clearly, she didn't know it was Waternoose specifically who was running it, because later in the film she had no idea this treachery was all the way up at the CEO level. But it's certain that she did see some of Waternoose's henchmen doing evil stuff, and this all makes excellent sense. She returned as an administrator to stop the bad guys, but learned in the end the truth of the CEO. But let's talk about her job in administration for a moment. Before coming back to the company, she already knew exactly which scare floor she would be working on. She knew right where to go to find the kidnappers. Perhaps
it was kind of weird, though, that she knew exactly which floor she was going to be on, because she seems very accustomed to everything, even though it's been probably a while since she's been at the scare floors. Something about that just doesn't bode well. Unless she attained all that knowledge. But how would she know which floor she'd be assigned to? She could have been assigned to any floor. And yet, the one floor that has all that stuff going on with it is the one that she's assigned to, and she's like, ah, yes, I already know that this floor is the one that I'll be on. I already know everything about these kidnappers and all the suspects, so I'm just gonna play coy, and I'm just gonna sit here and do paperwork while also looking at everything around me, because I know that the CEO's a fucking child kidnapper. Oh!
There had been some misplaced files due to kidnappings which stuck out like a beacon in her analysis. Clearly then, her very specific job, administration, was all to see specifically which files were abnormal in order to catch the culprit.
Oh, definitely.
By selecting the very specific job where she became a hub of information. As I said last video, that's why
all that information.
Such suspicion and hatred towards Mike and Sully, meaning she's watching them closely.
Because she's seen all those paperwork.
And failing to hand in the papers. When Mike and Sully failed to bring in the papers, Roz immediately became suspicious of them, assuming it was because they were guilty. It almost ruined 2.5 years of her undercover work. What
yeah, I mean, them not handing the papers was a little suspicious. Like, if you were in Roz's position, and you saw two monsters that just time and time again failed to bring in paperwork, you'd get a bit suspicious about those two monsters, don't you think? You start thinking, could it be that they just are tracker not having paperwork signed, or could it be that they're guilty? And then Rouse was like, oh dear God, I sure hope that this is not the thing, because it would have ruined everything! Exactly, it could have ruined everything, but it didn't.
Find brilliantly perfect was that this movie took place right around the point where the entire CDA began infiltrating the facility. It was almost like Roz was just waiting, desperately hoping that something would go wrong on the scare floor, so she'd have an excuse to have the CDA search the incorporation for evidence of a child murder. This was the climax of the plan, I believe. And what was it that caused the CDA's whole search again? Well,
the sock?
The fact that Boo was let out into Monstropolis. And what caused this? Boo escaping her door due to Sully while Randall was busy. Someone like Roz is going to be monitoring this floor 24/7, and I highly doubt she'd miss something as big as this. Randall, being a little idiot, for some reason left Boo's door unattended while he was out getting the capture equipment.
Shit.
This is odd, because Randall isn't usually this stupid.
Yeah, that's weird that Randall just suddenly forgot that this door was here. Like, oh, there's a door here. I'm not gonna think of anything about it, instead of being like, oh, you know, I forgot that there was a door there, you know? Even though I saw it, I forgot that it was there. Randall, we know that you knew that the door was there. You specifically did not do anything about it. Huh? Seems like you're smarter than we all thought.
However, my point is, he was away for quite some
time,
even before Sully got there. This could easily provide an open opportunity for Roz to intervene. Boo somehow constantly teleports around, but her first quote-unquote teleportation was the most abnormal and unbelievable, as it literally involved sneaking through the open door that Sully was covering.
Yeah, inside to outside.
Roz's spies had a hand in letting Boo out, while Randall was otherwise distracted. I also think it was more of Roz's CDA workers out of costume that caused Randall this distraction, almost like a whole entire staged busting of the bad guy that Sullivan got in the way. Hence why Roz says everything was almost wasted. It's almost...
That actually makes somewhat sense. They staged this whole thing to get Randall to get the kid, but instead, it was Sully that saw the door and nearly ruined everything. Because he saw the door, saw the kid got out. What now? What do you do now? The person that you didn't expect now has the child. And the person that you did expect is coming here right now, and we'll see no child. Huh? Probably a botched operation if you ask me.
Almost like Boo was already already out of the room before Sully entered it. It must have been the CDA who let her. I mean, seriously, they have a hand in all of this.
They do.
Needed an excuse to have the entire building searched for evidence,
Mm-hmm.
but the only way
They
to
let the
do
kid out.
that would be by distracting a suspected kidnapper and letting a child escape.
Of course.
I seriously think this, and the logic is real. The plan is required because, first of all, she cannot make an arrest without the plenty of evidence she had yet to gather, and secondly, Roz had no idea if Randall had other associates, but this, it's an ideal plan. It works to find everything and bust it all wide open. It's perfect.
And it actually makes
With the
sense.
unexpected interventions of Sully and Mike, it worked brilliantly. Another neat thing to note, however, is that when Mike approaches Roz and tells her that Randall was working late last night, Roz almost immediately closes her mental.
Yeah, she shuts it down.
This is abrupt. She claims her office is now closed, but that's not true. Do you know what is true? Roz learning that Mike too suspects Randall. It's all about that. The reason she slammed her window is because of that one small thing he said about Randall. She needed to inform her associates of the new developments.
Yeah, she was having, like, she probably got scared that Mike was actually suspicious of Randall. Being like, hey, yo, Randall was out late last night, after hours, that's kind of weird, don't you think? Roz just shut that on me, like, nope, office is closed, goodbye, and then she informed others, like, hey, this monster is very suspicious of Randall now, I think that's kind of weird. Can we do something about this, please? Like, now, so that years of effort doesn't go wasted?
It's very neat, all of this interconnected lore. There's just one final problem in all of this. Why was it the CDA who escorted Waternoose to prison?
Yeah.
The police, certainly. They are an agency for child protection masquerading as an extermination team. I certainly don't think Waternoose was working with Roz the whole time.
What?
And they escorted him away as an escape. No, quite the opposite, obviously. I believe that the CDA didn't want police involvement because Roz had her own kind of special punishment for Mr.
Ooh.
Not torture, though, and not a cruel and secretive death penalty, but more or less the act of sending him to the human world.
Yeah, banishment.
Like Randall was. A perfect torment, logically. And my backup for this is the fact that they didn't even try to go after Randall, despite the fact that he could have easily found another door and gotten back into the monster world. In the chase scene, Randall chases the protagonist through the human world, but there are magic doors everywhere.
Yeah.
Randall could easily come back if he manages to trace the times and locations of the scaring, but the CDA doesn't bother taking any more precautions. This is the fate of the villains. It's also a perfect torture, because it's what the Waternoose wants to exile, his disobedience.
Yeah.
The CDA wants to exile Randall and Waternoose to the human world, and Randall is already there. If they ever come back to Monstropolis, they'll either be killed or sent right back through. There's no point in them returning. They'd just be targets of an enormous manhunt, really. The CDA took Waternoose because they don't want the police to deal with him. Either the police wouldn't care about the humans he killed, which is why Roz took him, or the police would care so much they'd kill him, which is why Roz took him. It's all coming together and it's excellent.
Roz doesn't want the police knowing, because something would happen to Waternoose. Exactly what he said. Something would happen to Waternoose, which is what Roz does not want. So Roz took matters into her own hands and got to Waternoose before anyone else did. CD is actively protecting him because Waternoose, she wants to exile both of them.
Mr. Waternoose is a brilliant, flawed individual. Roz is the perfect savior, and I love monsters. Until next time, I'm the Theorizer.
Alright, so that was quite the theory. Yeah. Honestly, pretty fucking wild. Of course, we're not gonna start the syndrome theory right now. This was sort of like a video I want to get out to react to. To react to ROZ Part 3. And yeah, next up we have the syndrome theories. Then we have the Incredibles 2 theory, Incredibles 1 theory, and then we all wrap around to that good old-fashioned Baby Smitty theory that again, I will be reacting to live. The link in the description down below to my Twitch channel to get to know if I want to go out for the baby Smitty theory. And as always, I will see all of you in the next video. Bye bye.